The sun was already hot in Fortaleza, a busy city in northern Brazil. On a quiet street near the center, a new business had just opened. The sign outside read, Grama Natural Fortaleza Linata, specialists in lawns and gardens. From the street, it looked normal. Workers came and went, carrying bags of soil, pipes, and rolls of grass. A small white truck was parked out front every day. The neighbors liked them. The men were polite and always waved. But the greenhouse was only a cover. Underneath the bags of soil and gardening tools, something secret was happening. Luis, the engineer, Ribeiro, inside the small office at the back. Luis Ribeiro sat at a wooden table covered with papers, rulers, and a blueprint of the city's downtown area. He was in his early 40s, with calm brown eyes and a short beard turning grey. He had once worked in construction, helping to build tunnels for water pipes and underground parking lots. He was quiet, polite, and intelligent, the kind of man who planned every detail before taking a single step. But life had not been kind to him. After a failed business and debts he could never repay, Luis had decided that honest work would never make him rich. He wanted one last job, big enough to disappear forever. He looked up when he heard a voice behind him. Juan Carlos Tattoo Mendez. "Boss, the neighbors think we're really growing grass," said Carlos Mendez, a small, wiry man with a wide grin. Everyone called him Tattoo, which means armadillo, because he loved digging. Tattoo had spent half his life working in underground construction projects in São Paulo, tunnels, sewers, mining. He wasn't educated, but he was brave and skilled. He could tell what kind of soil he was standing on just by the smell. "That's good," Luis said. "Let them believe it." He pointed at the blueprint on the table. "We start digging here, behind the storage room. Straight line, 3 meters deep. The Banco Central is 80 meters away. That's our target," Tattoo whistled softly. 80 meters, that's a long way, boss. "We'll need lights, fans, and support beams." Luis smiled. "You'll get them. We do this clean. We do this right." Renato. Ghost. Almeida. A tall man entered the room quietly, almost without sound. Renato Almeida, known as Ghost, used to work for a company that installed security systems in banks. He was calm, pale, and always dressed neatly, even in the heat. He didn't talk much, but when he did, people listened. He knew how alarm systems worked, when they were active, when they were off, and how to avoid them. He placed a folder on the table. "This is everything I could find about the bank's layout. The main vault is underground, 2 floors below. Cameras on every corner, guards at night, but..." He paused and pointed at a spot on the map. "There's a blind spot right here, under the vault. They never put sensors in the concrete." Tattoo laughed. "So we go under it like moles." "Exactly," Ghost said with a small smile. Giratania La Madrina Souza. The door opened again. A woman walked in wearing dark sunglasses and gold earrings. Tania Souza, known in the underworld as La Madrina, the godmother, carried herself with confidence. She was in her 30s, elegant but dangerous. She didn't dig tunnels or cut through steel, but she knew how to make dirty money disappear. "Gentlemen," she said, setting her bag on the table, "you dig, I clean. But remember, when this is over, nobody gets greedy. If one of you starts flashing cash, the whole plan falls apart." Luis nodded. "Don't worry. Everyone here knows the rules." Tunia raised an eyebrow. "Good. Because I don't forgive mistakes." For the next hour, they went over every detail. How deep the tunnel had to be, 3 meters. How long it would take, maybe 3 months. How to hide the dirt, mix it with real soil, and sell it as garden supplies. When to strike, a long weekend, when no one would notice anything until Monday. When the meeting ended, Luis looked around the room. "This is our chance," he said. "We're not thieves, we're builders. We build the way to our future." Tattoo grinned. "A future made of money." Tanya smirked. "If you live long enough to spend it." They laughed quietly, then got to work. Outside, the sun began to set over Fortaleza, turning the street gold. From the warehouse came the sound of shovels and hammers, the beginning of a tunnel that would soon become the most famous in Brazil's history. For 3 months, the sound of drills was muffled by reggae music from the greenhouse. Workers took shifts underground, removing nearly 3 tons of dirt and hiding it beneath the fake lawn out front. Inside the tunnel, electric lights flickered. Metal supports lined the walls. It was like a secret subway, narrow, humid, but expertly built. Tattoo wiped sweat from his face. "You know, if this thing collapses, no one will ever find us." Ribeiro laughed. "Then let's make sure it doesn't." Each night, Ghost tested the security system of the bank. He knew when guards patrolled, when cameras turned, when the motion sensors were off for cleaning. Saturday night, he said finally. That's our window. On August 6, 2005, midnight. A small team crawled through the tunnel, 80 meters long, ending directly beneath the vault floor of the Banco Central. The vault was made of reinforced concrete. It took a thermal cutter and hours of silence to break through. When the floor cracked open, the air that came through smelled of cold metal and money. Inside, stacks of Brazilian real notes waited, over 160 million in used bills. They worked in near darkness, forming a human chain to carry the bags back through the tunnel. By dawn, the vault was stripped bare. When the first bank employee arrived Monday morning, he thought the missing money was an accounting error, until he looked down and saw a hole in the floor. By the time police arrived, the landscaping company had vanished. The warehouse was empty, the grass stripped away, the office swept clean. Inspector Eduardo Silva stood over the tunnel entrance, awestruck. They dug 80 meters under a city street and took 160 million reais without firing a single shot. For months, the investigation stretched across Brazil. Police found abandoned cash, burned vehicles, and rumors. But the core crew had vanished. Then came the first crack. A man boasting at a bar in Recife, a car bought in cash, a girlfriend flaunting designer clothes. Arrests followed, but much of the money was never recovered. Tânia Souza, La Madrina, had been careful. Her network laundered millions through shell companies and offshore accounts, but she knew the storm was coming. In a safe house outside São Paulo, she and Ribeiro met one last time. It was perfect, he said quietly. Nothing's perfect, she replied. They always find someone to talk. She slid him a passport and a plane ticket under another name. You go north, lie low. I'll handle the rest. But when he reached the airport, federal agents were waiting. Years passed. Some members of the crew were caught, others killed in disputes over the stolen fortune. Less than 10% of the money was ever found. In Fortaleza, the old warehouse was demolished. In its place, a new office building rose, its foundation unknowingly sitting above the path of the tunnel that had once humiliated a nation. Inspector Silva retired, still haunted. They built a tunnel under a bank, he would tell young officers. But the real tunnel was under our noses, through bureaucracy, complacency, and greed. And somewhere, on a beach in northern Brazil, a man with a new face and quiet eyes counted the years, not the money. The Banco Central Burglary of 2005 remains one of the largest bank heists in history, meticulously planned, flawlessly executed, and only partially solved. To this day, most of the $160 million is missing, and the tunnel collapsed long ago, but not forgotten.